Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Here today to discuss about Impact Wrestling March 16th, 2021's episode. I got to admit, this was a decent show. It wasn't too bad. The main event had Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel in the main event, which was a very good one, may I add. I love the segment with Rich Swann and Don Callis. Very, very good promo by both of these guys, hyping up the main event match for Rebellion on April 24th with Kenny Omega for the AEW World Title and the Impact World Championship. Let's just go through the list of matches that occurred on this card, and I'll give you guys the results, my opinions on the matches. Some of the matches were okay. Some of the matches were really trash that I didn't even pay attention to. So let's get right into it. First match of the card was Finn Juice, which is David Finlay and Juice Robinson versus Triple XL. Finn Juice actually win this match, the tag team of David Finlay and Juice Robinson. Immediately after the win, out comes the Good Brothers. Carl says that match shouldn't have even counted. Do you realize what the Good Brothers are? They've been busy doing Dynamite with Kenny. Carl has 4 kids at home with his hot Asian wife, and Doc had a long flight. They were not prepared, and they want their rematch. Juice is happy to give them the rematch, but Finlay says they do have to go back to Japan, but they'll have to wait until they come back in April. Brawl begins as Finn Juice escape the tag team titles draped over their shoulders, which, by the way, Juice Robinson almost didn't get his belt. I think it was Doc Gallows that allowed him to get his championship, because he could have kept his foot on top of the belt the whole entire time and then just grabbed it and pulled it away from him completely, because he kind of fucked up. He was having a little bit of difficulty trying to get the championship and bring it with him up the ramp. So I thought that was a little funny. So, the screen gets glitchy, and Sami Callihan comes in like Zord from Power Rangers, is what this person that did the results of the show is saying. He says, Trey can't get the job done, and tonight it will be Sami Callihan who does. He basically goes on discussing about how he doesn't have any passion. The key thing of this storyline between Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel is passion. He don't think he has that. He thinks he has all the skills in the world, but he doesn't have that thrive to want to be the absolute best. He doesn't have the passion to prove that he's better than everybody else on that roster. That's the whole basis of this storyline. I don't know if Sami Callihan's trying to be a motivator to help push Trey Miguel to get to a higher level in his career, or he's just plain going to destroy Trey Miguel at the end of this whole storyline that they're doing, which the main event was not the end of their storyline, I assure you. More than likely, this is going to continue past this episode. So, after the break, though, the Good Brothers confront Scott D'Amore with Finn Juice walking away with their belts. D'Amore says they gotta eat it until Juice and David come back, but they are returning next week. He sets it for Rebellion. So this match is taking place at Rebellion. I'm not surprised at the situation. I'm definitely well aware that was going to happen long before they were going to make the announcement, being that Kenny Omega is supposed to probably win the Impact World title anyway. So they're going to probably win the titles back regardless anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. Why they took the titles off of the Good Brothers, I guess it was just for shock value, surprise people, give something different at this sacrifice event, and then just, eventually give the titles back to the Good Brothers so that they can continue to consistently defend the titles on Impact Wrestling, since they're more devoted to Impact Wrestling than FinJuice. They're only there once in a while. So that's just my insight on that. Doc and Carl leave satisfied as they exit, and Tommy Dreamer enters. He says they got themselves into a predicament. Scott says that they happened to bridge the gap between a promotion that hated them, and Scott gets frustrated and says, if Tommy thinks handling the booking is so easy, why doesn't he try his hand as a commissioner for Hardcore Justice? The next Impact Plus special, Tommy already presents a card to him, and Scott is actually impressed by this. The card itself, I'm kind of intrigued to know what the hell it is. I kind of wish they would have at least told us some of the matches that are on the card, but I guess they're going to stretch this out until we get a little closer to Hardcore Justice, which is probably, I believe they said it's taking place on April 10th, which is the same night they're having WrestleMania. Kind of interesting. People could choose between Hardcore Justice and WrestleMania Night 1. Very, very interesting. I don't know what I might do. I may actually fucking skip Night 1. I may just do it. Who the fuck cares? Or I just may review it on Monday night. That way I can do the Night 1 and Night 2. Of course, there's nothing to watch on Monday Night Raw, and really nothing to give a review on except the same old shit and rants that I normally been doing over the last couple of months since I started back up with that. And now I've discontinued again. So, yeah. I'm probably going to do Hardcore Justice on Monday night. I'll watch it and give you guys my insight on that event for April 12th. And go over that with you guys on that date. So, that's what I'm doing at this point in time. If I happen to change things up, I'll definitely let you know. But at this point, that's pretty much what it's looking like I'm going to do. Match 2, which is Rhino versus Jake Something with Chris Sabin and James Storm, with Violent by Design in Rhino's corner. This match was not much of anything. Rhino wins the match with a gore and gets a 1-2-3, and that's pretty much it. There was nothing much to this matchup at all. Post-match, Rhino and VBD rain chaos over Jake Something, Storm, and Sabin. After the break, Caleb with a K suggests a team name that favors Tenille tonight. But Deonna Purrazzo wants them to focus on winning. Let's not let the cliche the click happen. Let's get on the same page. That's pretty much all that was said here. Pretty mindless bullshit here. Didn't mean much of anything. Rohit Raju versus Shera. Rohit actually wins this matchup. Didn't really pay much attention to this match. This match kind of sucked. I didn't like the last two matches. The first match with Triple XL and FinJuice was actually a decent matchup to kickstart the show. The last two matches after that was really crap in my opinion. So we had Rich Swann is admiring his unified World Championship belts. Willie Mack comes in to congratulate him and notes that they have to celebrate the win. Swann is game for it, but not at the moment. He has some business to take care of, and it happens he's headed to the ring. Rich Swann comes out to reflect on the hard work he's done to win these belts. He doesn't like Moose, but he actually respects him for what he did in the ring and for all the hard work he tried to win the Impact World title along with retaining the TNA World Championship. He has tons of respect for him as a person. But he still doesn't like him personally. He doesn't like how he carries himself. He doesn't like how he tries to win matches. But what he did in that match on March 13th, he has a ton of respect for. So that was the basis of that portion of the promo. Then Don Callis comes out with some very weird classical, like, violin music, which I found very strange. I had never figured Don Callis was into like a Beethoven type of music, even though Beethoven played the piano, not the violin. But you get my drift here. It's old school music from back in Beethoven's time and what have you. But I was a little surprised by the music, but Don Callis came out and pretty much said, hey, I'm very proud of you, man. You're a great wrestler, kid. You did everything I expected. I expected you to win this. I'm very proud of you. You won the world title and the TNA World Championship. He said, when WWE, he didn't say WWE, but when you were released and nobody wanted you, who came about? Who said you're a wrestler of the decade? He said, you're the man. You're one of the best. He said, I stood up for you. Impact Wrestling didn't want you, but I, part of creative, wanted you here because I see talent. I'm good at scouting talent. And I saw that in you. And then he goes on and compares Kenny Omega as being a once-in-a-lifetime or a century wrestler that comes around only in a century. And he's basically the wrestling god of professional... He's a god of professional wrestling. And that's pretty much what he had to say about that. And he compared them both to cars. He said when he first got in the business, he got his first paycheck. And he said, you know, I got a nice car, but then I saw someone else driving a really nice car. Something even better. And it's the same thing with professional wrestlers. You're like this shiny new toy I got. And he made himself come across like a Vincent Mann. I think he was kind of making fun. He was like doing an innuendo to Vincent Mann, trying to make fun of him. Like Vincent Mann uses wrestlers like they're only possessions of some sort that he gets really excited over for a little while and then gets bored of them and then moves on to the next toy. And I guess that's what he was trying to do here. Playing this evil villain creative promoter type of situation, being in that role, which I thought was great. He made me absolutely hate him. He made me want Rich Swann to win the AEW World Championship. Literally got me having feelings of, I want him to win. Fuck Kenny Omega. But I know deep down that's not going to happen, of course. Kenny Omega is not going to lose the AEW World title. It's part of a humongous promotion. I mean, come on, man. That's crazy. They wouldn't give the title to Rich Swann, who's been in Impact Wrestling for the last 2 to 3 years and isn't all that big of a promotion to begin with. Now, if it was New Japan Wrestling and we had this, it'd be a different story, which the guy I listen to a lot, JD from New York 206, he stated the exact same thing on his review for Dynamite last night. And I totally agree with that. You got to be out of your freaking mind if Rich Swann's going to win the AEW World Championship from Kenny Omega. It's just insane. But the story that they told was just fucking amazing and got me so interested in wanting to see Rich Swann win, even though I know he's not going to. So I think that's pretty fucking cool on Don Callis and Rich Swann's part to help build up the story leading into this pay-per-view. I thought it was a great job. They do see... Don Callis is coming across, though, like he gives a shit about him, but in the same breath, at the same time, he's also showing that, you know, this is not your time, kid. You're not capable of beating a guy like Kenny Omega. He's showing that he has respect for him. He cares about him. But he really believes Kenny Omega is the absolute best of all wrestlers in professional wrestling today. And I can't disagree with that. As in-ring performers go, I mean, I've been speaking the graces of fucking Kenny Omega since 2016, 2017. Since he's been in that Okada shit in New Japan Wrestling. I mean, I've watched every freaking match those guys have had in their career against each other. Their rivalry is probably the best rivalry in New Japan Wrestling besides Okada and Tananisha, some shit. I forgot his fucking name. He's one of the biggest names in New Japan Wrestling besides Okada. So, and they've went back and forth over world title matches in the past. So, and I think they've competed in multiple Wrestling Kingdom events. So, which date back all the way from 2012. So the next match on this card was Tennille Dashwood, Fire and Flava, Deonna Purrazzo, Susan and Kimberly versus Jordynne Grace, Jazz, Havoc, Nevaeh, Alicia Edwards, and ODB in a 6-on-6 tag team match. Folks, this was a shit match. I didn't give a flying fuck about it, and nor should you. The winners of the match was Jordynne Grace, Jazz, Havoc, Nevaeh, whatever the fuck you pronounce her name, Alicia Edwards, and ODB. And Jazz is the one that actually gets a win with a STF and makes Kimberly actually tap out to the move. Then we had Ace Austin backstage. He's the X Division champ. The way it should be. TJP ended his initial winning streak in Impact, but he secures the belt for himself, entering Chris Bay, who says he pinned Ace Austin. Then in comes Josh Alexander, and then TJP. Each one acknowledging their right to a championship opportunity for the X Division title. My opinions on that. First things first, they already mentioned that TJP is going to challenge Ace Austin for the X Division championship. So, next week. So that should be a really good matchup. Probably more than likely the main event of that episode, I would think. I mean, you got to be out of your fucking mind not to put that in the main event. I mean, it's a world title match. Well, not a world title match, but it's a championship match. This is going to lead, I believe, with TJP probably beating each and every one of those guys, or just going through each one of them, and then eventually somebody out of that group of people that he faces is going to beat him for the X Division championship. More than likely, we're going to see TJP, of course, next week face for the title. Josh Alexander will probably be next. And then Chris Bay will compete at Rebellion for the X Division title. That's how I'd see it. Josh Alexander is probably going to compete for it at the Impact Plus special event for Hardcore Justice. More than likely for that. And then Rebellion, like I said, we're going to see Chris Bay face Ace Austin for the X Division title at the Rebellion pay-per-view, and Chris Bay, I think, is going to win that match against Ace Austin and get the championship. And that's how they're going to probably close this whole storyline out. So that's my thoughts on that. And then the last thing on the card was the main event, Sami Callihan versus Trey Miguel. Very good main event. I enjoyed this one. Sami Callihan actually wins this matchup. Unfortunately, Trey Miguel performed excellent in this matchup. I had no complaints here. These two guys went at it back and forth. They were hitting each other really hard. Very rough in this matchup. And I really don't have any complaints on this match. This was definitely a noteworthy main event match, and definitely should have been on the Sacrifice card, which I don't know why the hell it wasn't. They could have took something off that card and put it on this fucked up show that, outside of the main event and the Rich Swann situation and the opener to this show, the rest of the card was just shit tonight, that night for March 16th. It really wasn't all that entertaining with some of the matches they had on here. But the main event, the opener, and the Rich Swann segment where him and Don Callis are shooting the shit back and forth, I absolutely loved all three of those segments. The rest of the thing I could have lived without. I mean, it wasn't terrible, it wasn't anything unbearable. It was just, I don't care type of attitude I was getting from it. Was it an insult to my intelligence? No, I don't think so. It wasn't really insulting me in a way. I didn't feel like the show was mind-numbingly dumb or anything. It just really didn't attract my attention all that much. So that is pretty much it, guys. At this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.